Okay, clearly, from last lesson, if you did the practice or you listened to the lesson, you would see the diagram of the perfect normal distribution only works a limited amount of ways. What do I mean by that? If I go back to that lesson, we were only able to answer this because the question asked for 480, 486, and 492, and those all happen to be exactly one standard deviation away from the mean. And that allows us to go to this, and we can pick out 34.13, 13.59, add them all together. But what happens, what if the question asked for between 482 and 484? Are those numbers on the scale at the bottom? No. So we need the calculator for that. And I'd encourage you, you can answer these questions using the calculator anyway, right? So probabilities using the calculator. How do I access normal CDF? For other numbers, you're going to use normal CDF. So can you grab your calculator out, please? Turn it on. How do I access normal CDF? You'll press the second button in the top left. And can you see the vase button underneath the arrows? In blue, it says distir. What do you reckon that stands for? Distribution. Okay, so you press that. Please do not touch PDF. There was someone in, I think it was 2020, that they were fine, and even in the test for statistics, they were using normal CDF. But in the exam, they freaked out and they used normal PDF, and every question that involved this was wrong. If you did methods, you would have maybe touched normal PDF. We only touch to normal CDF. So open that, please. If you want sort of defaults, 0 for everything's fine. So what does normal CDF want? It wants 4 things. It wants lower, it wants upper, it wants the mean, and it wants standard deviation. So most calculators here, does anyone have a screen that doesn't look like that? That's on my screen. You're all cool? That's what you see? Good. So you have sort of the mid-age and newer calculator. If you've got a super old calculator, it doesn't even ask for those. If you've got a super old calculator, when you press normal CDF, it does this. And it has a bracket, and then it's just waiting for you. It's just waiting for you to enter. So if you've got, for some reason, you manage to find on Gumtree a really old calculator, and you find it's not asking for it like I'm showing on the screen here, the way that you deal with it is you put lower, comma, upper, comma, mean, comma, standard deviation there. It doesn't politely ask you for what the lower, upper stuff is like the newer one is. Once you enter the expected numbers into lower, upper, mean, standard deviation, you press enter on paste, and then it gets you the answer. So what does that answer tell you? The calculator tells you the percentage or proportion of the data that lies between the lower and the upper numbers that you entered. Your working out for this should show everything. So when you do a normal CDF question, this is what the working out I should see. You'd write in normal CDF, and after the brackets, you tell me what you entered for lower. You tell me what you entered for upper. You tell me what you entered for mean. You tell me what to enter for standard deviation. Okay? What I want to do is I want to right now, can we skip down to answer A of both of the examples? Only A for now. So having a look at example 1. You're told variable X. We don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. It's just a variable, and we know that the mean of it is 40 and the standard deviation is 10. And the question, I only include these questions here because your book has them. Most of the questions you'll do for the actual exam look like this. They're fully worded. But I don't want to skip out on any practice. So in the book, your questions will look like this: P37X48. What the hell does that mean? It goes, what is proportion of data between 37 and 48? That's what that symbology is asking. So on my calculator, what would I type in for the mu? What is the mean of this data set? 40, enter. What is the standard deviation of that data set? 10. And according to what this question A is asking me, if I want, how many percent of the data is between 37 and 48? What's the lower end of that?
37.
37? What's the upper end of that? 48. That's how you do this type of question. And when you go down to paste, it's going to tell you this decimal. So your answer to this is how you should write your answers. Normal, CDF. What did I put in for lower? 37. Upper was 48. Mean was 40. Standard deviation was 10. And that is telling me equals 0.4061 to 4 dp. What would that decimal be as a percentage? Good. So therefore, 40.61%. Can you just copy A down and then we'll do a worded problem, which is what you'll actually do in the exam. I've never actually seen the exam ask it in this way, but let me say again in the video, I don't want to skip that because that's extra practice at using normal CDF. And your book, I can't rewrite your book. So start off practicing normal CDF with questions asked like that, but now we go, these are the actual sort of questions you'd be asked in the exam. The percentage grades in a particular bio class, they have a mean of 58, a standard deviation of 13. Question A is asking me what proportion of the students in the class will have percentage grades between 40 and 65. Get your calculator out and you can tell me, second VARS normal CDF, what would the lower be? 40? What would the upper be?
65.
What would the mean be? 58. And what's the standard deviation? Paste. Enter. This doesn't change how you show the working out. You write normal CDF. 40 is the lower, 65 was the upper. The mean that I put in was 58. Standard deviation was 13. The order of what you write matters. That tells me 0.6218 to 4 dp. Therefore, was this question asked in words? No symbols. It was asked in words, so your answer must be in words. So after you've done that working out, then you can say, therefore, 62.18% of students had a grade between 40 and 65%. Suddenly there's context here. That first one that we did, we don't know what X represented. Now we know. It's percentage grades in a bio class. So make sure you answer in words. Can I give you a minute or two to add those, and then we'll go back, scroll back up to what we skipped. Why did we skip? Let's just have a look at this one here, B. What is that asking me from the proportion of? The data, what does this symbol mean? Is that greater than or equal to, or greater than, or is it less than? Greater than, because the opening is at the data. So this question is asking me proportion greater than 45. I know how to use the calculator. Why can't I answer this? What would your upper be? If I care about all the data above 45, if you recall back to the first lesson on normal distribution, when did the curve end? Did it ever end? It went on forever. Okay? So we need to tell the calculator in this that my upper is infinity that way. If I want less than, I need to tell my calculator the lower is infinity that way. So how do I do that? Let me illustrate. How do I deal with less than or greater than? You got some questions that ask for data less than or greater than a certain number. So Yeah, we just discussed that. If we want less than, we care about negative infinity to the left. If we care about greater, we do positive infinity to the right. How do we write positive infinity? Can you see on your calculator, can you see the comma button here that I've highlighted in red? There's a little comma button above 7. Can you see how above the comma button there's 2 capital E's? Right? When you press that, I'll press it on the calculator. When you press that, just a single E pops up. And if you press E99, that's the biggest possible number your calculator can deal with. That's the closest to infinity that your calculator will recognize. If you wanted to do negative infinity for the other way, you would go, do you remember the negative sign we used for TVM solver? It's not the take sign. What's the negative button? It's next to enter. So if you wanted negative infinity, you'd go negative button there, the little highlighted one. How do I get E again? Second comma and 99. That's the smallest infinity. That's infinity to that way. That's how we deal with greater than or less than. If it's greater than, my upper is going to be positive infinity to the right. If I care about less than, my infinity is going to be to the left. So on your normal CDF, if I'm answering Px is greater than 45, I'm going to go normal CDF. I want it greater than 45. So what's my lowest? 45. And now that you know the infinity for this calculator, what would I put into upper? Would it be negative E99 or positive? Positive E99. Comma, what's the mean? It's 40. Standard deviation is 10. So 45. Second comma to get E99 is infinity, 40, and 10. That is telling me 3085, 0.3085 for dp. Therefore, 30.85% of that data is above 45. Get that example. Last one here, normal CDF. We want less than 26. So what's my lower going to be? Yes?
Negative E99.
Negative E99. What's the upper? If I care about everything less than 26, my cutoff point is 26. That's the higher end. The mean is the same. Standard deviation is the same. So second dist, normal CDF. Negative with the little bracketed one, second comma, E99. Upper was 26, 40, and 10. Paste it. 0.0808. 0.08. Therefore, 8.08% are less than 26. And you get that example, then we'll do the worded one. Which is very topical because your exams are coming up. And SACE passing grade, your C minus is around 47%. 6.5 out of 15. Yes?
There's something a bit strange with the calculation.
You got an older one, I know, I saw.
Yeah.
What's up?
So I did it. I entered everything in the first time, and it got me negative 8.075. And I go back in without changing anything. I do it again, and it gives me 0.8.
Let me check later. Just leave it for now. Did the other? So is it only C that didn't work?
Yes. It looks like it shifted the.
Let's try to refresh it with B. If it doesn't work, then when I'm stop recording, I'll help you out. All right. Can we look at example 2 again? They always ask a question like this. Different context though in the exam. So remember, we're looking at that bio class, the percentage grades, the mean of 58, standard deviation of 13. If the passing percentage in SACE is around 47% and the class has 25 students, how many of the students passed in this class? I've only told you normal CDF tells you how many percent would pass or something. This is asking for how many students. What are you smoking, Mr. T? How am I supposed to find that? Well, if I found the percentage of kids that passed and then I applied that percentage to 25, is that going to tell me how many kids passed? If it tells me 50% of the kids are going to pass, then I can find 50% of 25. That'll tell me how many kids. But you need to do 2 steps. You need to do normal CDF first. So if we care about people passing and the line is 47, do I care about people getting more than 47 or less than 47? I want more definitive. I heard more, but I heard some quiet lesses. If you got less than 47, you're failing because that's the line for pass. We care about how many percent of the kids got more than 47. So normal CDF, what's my lower end cutoff point? 47. What's infinity to the right? E99. What's the mean in this situation? It was 58. Standard dev was 13. Chuck that into your calculator.
Would it not be 100 instead of E99?
Because you've been told it's normally distributed, yes, I get what you mean. But for the normal distribution, imagine that it goes E99. Normal CDF, 47, E99, 58, 13. So that tells me 0.8013 to 4 decimal points. That question was asked in worded terms. So you answer in worded terms. But I'm not ready to answer that yet because 80% is not the answer to this question. How do I find 80% of 25 students? I've got the decimal there already. So I'll go 0.8013, lots of 25. My number's already in the calculator. So use that. Times it by 25. Would it be reasonable to say that I would have 20.03 students passing?
No.
I can't have a kid's big toe. So you would say 20 students passing in that particular class based on that information. This encompasses the 2 different question types that you're going to deal with for this. What I'd like you to do once you've got that, can you work on exercise 5B? Let's say 30 minutes, please, because they're quite quick to do when you use normal CDF. 30 minutes, I'll get back to you 10 to.